excited to be here with you guys today. So, even closer. All right. Okay, is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, so what I'm wondering is, I want to ask everybody a question. Is there some place in your life right now that you're feeling stuck or stalled, or you feel like you should already have that by now, or you should already have accomplished that by now? Anybody? A few people? Yeah. Okay, turn the club. So, you know, there are a lot of things that stop us in our lives, and there are different kinds of mindsets that tend to hold us back when we are looking to make a change in our life. And that can be anything from fear, and it could be different kinds of fears. So fear of failing, fear of being wrong, of actually being seen or heard, or even scarier sometimes, fear of actually succeeding. Anybody? Yeah. So it's important to have a recognition of these kinds of mindsets as they slow us down in our progress, and just have an awareness, because there are things that we can change, and we've heard different speakers today that already spoke on a lot of those kinds of things, that we can change our thoughts, and I'm in full agreement with that. I've seen it, I've practiced it, and so one of the things that I teach in my practice as a holistic health coach and transformational coach is that we can change our circumstances, but it takes looking at more than just one area of our lives. So a lot of times we get focused in on one area of our lives thinking this is where the work needs to be done, but it's actually more like no stone unturned. Every single part of our lives has to be looked at, because there's something else going on. Is that how we do one thing is how we do everything. And so it's kind of a loaded statement. You know, is that really true? How I do one thing, how I pay my bills is how I do other things? Well, if you take some time to look at how that plays out in your life, I think you'll find that to be more and more true as you examine it. I hear from people all the time, they'll come back and a week or two later and they'll say, oh my God, that how you do one thing, how you do everything thing, oh my God, it's true. I see it everywhere now. So take that little nugget with you and play around with it and see how that is, because it's a clue to where you need to do some change work in your life. So as I said, it's no stone unturned, and it's important to look at every area of life. And so the kind of work that I do, I really call whole life detox and transformation, because it is about uncovering all of these different parts of ourselves. So I'll share a story with you now that comes from the heart. It's something that happened in my own life that was sort of my big catalyst for change. And I had been kind of sick or sickly most of my life. I can now that I know what I know about health and nutrition and all of these things, I can look all the way back to when I was 3 years old, and I could start tracking symptoms then. And so there was something always a little bit off. But by the time I was 10, I started having chronic migraines. And then in my teens, anxiety, late teens into early 20s, depression, and that just built up. Every few years there were a few more symptoms, and it got worse and worse. I was in pretty severe depression, and I was also experiencing a lot of other health issues, so digestive disorder, thyroid disorder. My metabolism was totally offline. I was about 27 pounds heavier than I am now, and the weight was stuck, like I couldn't do anything to get that off of my body. I had food allergies up the yin-yang. And I just got to the point where I was so sick that, and every food that I tried to eat made me so sick that I stopped eating. So this went on for, as long as you can do that, reasonably. And I got very weak and sicker, more and more depressed. I spent every day either in tears or on the verge of tears, and I really only had enough energy to get myself from the bed to the couch every day. This wasn't all that long ago. This was only a few years ago. And so I'm standing here before you now, healed from all of that, and saying that the pathway to healing is through looking at every piece. So it may be that you need to look at them one at a time, because what happens is when you start to review these aspects of your life, for me, it started around food, because that was sort of one of the most important tools in the toolkit that I could be working with at the beginning, because food really made a big difference in how I felt in my body. I ended up going on a healing diet that was pretty strict, actually. It's not something that I do with most of my clients, because I've actually not known many people to succeed at it. I am one of few that I know. But within a couple of weeks, the depression that I'd had for over 20 years was gone, and I never saw it again. So I thought, something's going on here. Something really interesting, because I wasn't expecting that. I just expected that I would be able to eat food again. And wouldn't that be nice? Because the food thing had been a problem for a long time. The depression, I just thought, was my lifelong thing, that I was going to have that for the rest of my life, because it had been so long. And I never even imagined what it might be like to be without it. So peel away this top layer of depression, and suddenly the world is brighter, and I can see colors again, I can smell flowers again, and it was very liberating and very free. And so when I meet other women who are experiencing depression, my heart goes out to them. And when I hear that they're taking antidepressants, something that I took for many years, that just actually made me sicker, I really feel like I want to help them. And what's interesting is, and I even know this from personal experience too, because a few years before I found the kind of help that got me to where I am now, I probably wouldn't have said yes to receiving that help. And so we kind of need to be in a certain place in our life where we're okay with change. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Where you only are ready for what you're ready for? Yeah. It's like, wow, that sucks. I mean, I had to have the depression for almost 25 years because I wasn't ready to let go of it. Yeah, God, that's crappy. So, but it's kind of like that. You have to be ready to stretch. So what I mean by stretch is, it's important to work with change work like this, wherever you're willing to stretch, and to be aware of where it is that you break. Because a lot of times people will begin this process of stretch, and at some point it's too much, and they break and they quit. I can't do it. It's too hard. This is more of the mindsets that I was talking about earlier. These mindsets for keeping us stuck. It's too hard. I remember when I was first offered a holistic helping hand by a girlfriend of mine who is really a miracle that I met her, because she just happened to be dating a friend of mine for about 3 months. Otherwise, we never would have crossed paths. We still thank him for introducing us. Well, thanks for, yeah. So she had kind of the similar kind of health issues that I had. And she and I knew her for several months, and she was talking about this diet that she was doing and how it was healing her. And I thought, oh, I could never, ever do that. It's too hard, way too hard. I mean, we're talking about going without certain foods, going without sugar, going without gluten, wheat, going without pizza, going without coffee, going without, a lot of these kinds of foods that many of us know are not so great when you're trying to heal from something. And so I really put my hand up, and I'm not that bad off yet. Well, when I called her to say, okay, I'm that bad off, I was 94 pounds, and I was a bony, weak mess. And I was probably about a day away from being in the hospital for, well, probably a lot of things, but malnutrition and just a breakdown of all my systems. And it took that much pain for me to say, help me. Isn't that sad? And it's like that for a lot of us, that we think, I should be able to do this on my own. I can read a book. I can learn how to do this. I can, listen to this speaker and learn how to do this, right? It's very solitary. It's very lonely. And there's a lot of shame locked up in being sick. I felt very shameful. I was extremely reclusive because I felt like, well, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. And so I hardly left my house. I didn't socialize. And I was lonely and afraid. But I was so afraid that I didn't think it was okay to get help. Well, the truth is that we are stronger together than we are alone. And Dr. Hewitt was talking about this earlier as well. And it goes right back into this aspect of healing, that we're stronger together. We're stronger when we can collaborate and get help from somebody who may know more than we know, or can guide us in a way that we don't understand, because we can only see as far as we can see from where we're standing now, right? So if I step up a little bit, I can see a little bit further. If I step a little further up on the path, I can see further still. So it's really revealing these layers of yourself as you go along the pathway of healing, because each layer reveals another level of truth. So it was an important piece of my own healing, and I see it with all of my clients. I have now worked with over 100 women in the last year and helping them regain their health and reconnect with their true being. Because that's the other beauty that happens, is that when you peel back these layers of what's getting in your way and what's stopping you, you actually reveal your true self. And it's like Tanya was talking about earlier, working in a job that was kind of killing her, very much so killing her. That when she peeled away that layer, what was revealed was her shining, bright, sparkly self. And that's what happens. You peel away those layers of whatever's stopping you, getting in your way, making you sick, and what's left is you. So I want to invite you to investigate this process of whole life detox, of really turning over every stone and finding out where it is that you're stopping in various aspects of your life. And I actually created a little workbook for everybody that you can pick up by going to my website. And you can go to nourishmethod.com/wow. And you can download it right there. So it's a little self-jumpstart workbook that can guide you in beginning this process. And of course, if there's anyone who is interested in learning more about this or more about what goes on with healing the body from this kind of perspective, I will be here all day, and I would love to talk with any one of you. And especially if there's anyone in here that is suffering from depression, I really want to hear from you, because I know exactly what that's like. It's a hard place to be. It's a dark place to be. And I want bright and shiny sparkliness for all of you. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.